Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Rafael P. Roman. We begin tonight with the race for governor and a new poll from Siena College giving Governor Cuomo a commanding 35-point lead over challenger Cynthia Nixon. Cuomo's dominance comes in spite of Nixon's strategy to portray the incumbent as a bully, comparing the governor's style of leadership to that of President Trump.
We've all seen it. Andrew the bully. He bullies other elected officials. He bullies anyone who criticizes him. He even bullies the media with his reference to your small questions. But worst of all, his budgets bully our children and our families by shortchanging them, by boxing them in, by denying them the opportunities they are owed. It reminds me of the behavior we see from Donald Trump every day.
A new report from Politico New York claims that instead of running from the accusations, Governor Cuomo's team is in fact embracing the bully label, suggesting that it's a sign of strong leadership. And joining us now is the co-author of that article, political senior reporter Dana Rubenstein. Dana, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So Dana, even though it hasn't moved the needle at all so far, the Nixon campaign continues to use the strategy of labeling Cuomo a bully. Do they know something we don't know?
Maybe. I'm not sure that the strategy has worked in the past in New York anyway. There's a history of contenders calling their opponents bullies. Ruth Messenger called Rudy Giuliani a bully in her 1997 run against him, and that didn't work. You know, Hillary Clinton called Trump a bully. That didn't work. It's very easy to turn the bully allegation into sort of a good thing, a sign of strong leadership.
And which is what Governor Cuomo and his team are doing.
Yeah,
it seems to be working for him.
They weren't even remotely bothered by the premise of the article because it's just such an easy accusation to flip. And when you look at the polls, a lot of New Yorkers do associate him with strong leadership. And when you have an Albany as sort of rife with corruption as we do now, you know, it's natural for voters to say, you know, maybe what we need is someone who is such a heavy-handed leader that everyone calls him a bully.
Yeah, but you know, you mentioned Ruth Messenger, and in your article, you quote her. She was the Manhattan Borough president who ran for mayor in '97. In your article, you quote her as saying, you know, there is an instance when labeling your opponent a bully works, and that is when your opponent is a woman candidate. Is she right?
Good point. Yeah, you know, it seems likely that she's right to me. I don't know of any historical examples where anyone has called a woman a candidate a bully, but certainly women do recoil at women candidates who seem too strong, right? As with Hillary again, right?
Yeah.
You know, women candidates have to walk this fine line where they're emotive, but not too emotive, strong, but not too strong. So, you know, it wouldn't work well in the other direction.
But you know, there is thinking about it, and actually you mentioned it in the article as well, there is a male candidate whose bully tactics kind of backfired on him, and I'm talking about Chris Christie, right?
Sure. Although, as Cuomo's pollster pointed out to me, he did win 2 elections.
Yeah,
But you could argue that
that he went a bridge too far.
Just one little bridge too far. Yeah. Right. That, you know, the whole Bridgegate scandal, which was nothing if not bullying by, at the very least, his appointees to the Port Authority, if not him himself, we don't know for sure, helped sink his national ambitions.
Yeah. Let's go back to Governor Cuomo. You know, we're all well acquainted with his feud with Bill de Blasio, a feud most of whose skirmishes the governor tends to win. So we know that bullying, he tends to be ahead, and we're familiar with it. But according to your article, that kind of bullying, that kind of pushing down goes way back. Tell us some of the stories.
So, well, the most famous example is from 2000 when Cuomo ran HUD, and his Inspector General, Susan Gaffney, whose job it was to review his operations of the agency and, when necessary, criticize it, really got under his skin. And so she filed a complaint saying that he would berate her every weekend in phone calls in like a very bullying manner. She also accused him of sexual harassment. It was all over the papers and obviously quickly forgotten 18 years later. But he has a long history of this sort of behavior. And, you know, depending on who you ask, a lot of it has to do with growing up the son of a governor. I mean, his upbringing was very different and probably more entitled feeling than ours.
Right, and it's not just women, right? I mean, people.
Oh,
And
yeah.
your article has quotes of people saying,
People are
he's
terrified of the governor.
Yeah. Has he changed at all? Because I remember reading an article in 2015, right after Mayor de Blasio publicly
Yeah.
accused him of being a bully, which didn't work out so well for the mayor. But I remember reading an article in the New York Times where he did seem to be somewhat affected by it, that he seemed to want to change. But the governor. Has it changed him in any way?
Look, he got a dog recently. Dog's name is Captain. And if you look at his Twitter profile, the dog features prominently. I think that
as
seems
soft as
very
he'll get?
clearly like an attempt to soften his image. Maybe he's just a pure and simple dog lover. I don't know. But that seems like a sign that maybe he wants to soften it a bit. But he doesn't, he wants to be seen as a strong leader. And honestly, that's one of his strengths, is that he's good at portraying at least the image.
Right, and as you
strength.
said, according
Yeah.
to the polls, that's what people.
It works for
That's how
him.
they see it.
Yeah.
And speaking of the polls, I mentioned the Siena poll. The governor is up 35%. That's his lead is increasing actually since March, and he leads in every demographics, including liberals, including women, including African Americans. Why hasn't Cynthia Nixon been able so far to connect with the voters?
I don't know. I mean, if you ask the pollsters, they say things like she has to come up with a platform that's more than just an anti-Cuomo platform, right? She needs to have a message. People made the same complaints about Hillary Clinton, that there was no sort of positive, proactive message, no reason why you should vote for her aside from being the other candidate. So that's maybe also people have issues with the fact that she's a female celebrity from Sex and the City. I
I mean, that could be working against her,
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you see, I mean, again, you have a good point of view, you know the governor. Do you see him using this campaign as a stepping stone to the 2020 presidential campaign, or has Cynthia Nixon made him focus on the race?
I think he wants to perform well in this race. There's no question. He likes to run up the numbers. He's very, numbers oriented as far as polling is concerned and voting is concerned. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear he has 2020 ambitions. He's an ambitious person.
So if he beats Cynthia Nixon, as he appears to be poised to do, we know that he hated the fact that she got into the race.
Sure.
But if he beats her and beats her handily and goes on to win in November, will the Cynthia Nixon challenge be forgotten, or will the effects linger?
I don't think they'll linger. I mean, she's pushed him left. There was some afterglow after Zephyr Teachout ran against him. He kept pushing left a little bit after the election, but then, everything goes back to normal.
Okay. Well, Dana, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.